Hey, what's going on, people? Well, I just found out, and there was really no point in waiting. This, I just have to go ahead and say that this is the time that I can remember thinking about coming in the future as a teenager. Do you follow me? I can remember still pondering at the age of 17 and 18 as rock was getting on. I mean, still young, but it's like, you know, I come out of the 50s and the 60s, and so the 70s, and so it's like I was, we're watching people grow up. I'm growing up, and I would think about, like, for example, a great trigger for such thoughts was Sgt. Pepper's When I'm 64. And I would sit and think about, what's it going to be like? What's it going to be like? And, that time has passed already when Paul McCartney and those guys turned 64. Everyone's, heading into their 70s, and the front guard are in their 80s and gone. Paul Kantner of the Jefferson airplane, Jefferson Starship, it was just announced that he died, health complications. And the Jefferson airplane were significant for me personally, so that's why I'm getting on here and making a statement, because it really is like, I just, like the closing of a chapter. It's like mortality truly presents its reality to the generation that I come from and the one before me, and in many ways it was the age of innocence and the golden era of modern music. I was going to say rock, but I want to be inclusive because I'm thinking about jazz too. I'm listening to Jefferson Airplane's Crown of Creation, which is a significant album, has a lot of importance to me, and I discovered this as a teen through a friend who bought it, and so we dissected this. I listened to this a lot. Lather and Triad, Crown of Creation, so many wonderful songs on here. Paul Kantner and the band Jefferson Airplane, maybe no, Paul Kantner, he was a spokesman. He did take on the mantle of spokesman for a generation many times in interviews and in things he would do in his art, and was a direct influence on me as far as a peer, one of the artists whose voice I paid attention to. I didn't always vibe strong with the music of Jefferson Airplane, but it was always a part of my surroundings, my musical surroundings. And actually, I love the band, and I consider them true psychedelia. I had to dig in the closet to get out my Jefferson Airplane because they're in a box. I keep a lot of my, I guess what you would call now vintage stuff that, is pretty commonly seen in record collections. That's a lot of the stuff that's in the closet, like my Jefferson Airplane and Led Zeppelin and Jethro Tull and stuff. But the whole thing of seeing Jefferson Airplane on television doing White Rabbit and Somebody to Love, those were significant performances for me, developing as a kid, as a teen, seeing what, where music was going. After bathing at Baxter's, I've still got the booklet. Is it a poster? Yeah, the lyric insert. This one is one of my favorites because it's so psychedelic, and it has one of my favorite songs on it, "Rejoice." It's jazzy. It's very jazzy for Jefferson Airplane, actually. Worst of Jefferson Airplane. You know, when Bowie hit me, it was real strong and really emotional, so I couldn't even think about trying to do this. It's like so many people have gone and are going. It's like, whew, I guess I better just take this in stride because the worst of Jefferson Airplane, because it's on. I don't have the bag anymore. Bark by Jefferson Airplane. Kind of an odd album, really. And that was what I liked about Jefferson Airplane and their label Grunt. They really did follow their muse. They did whatever the hell they wanted. Who knows what it was they were doing sometimes. And these are some great albums, too. That the original Jefferson Starship idea, Blows Against the Empire. This is really a really pretty fantastic album. Probably better for my taste than many Jefferson Airplane albums. I think I've got the insert. Yeah, do I have the insert? Great album. This stuff will be staying out and being freshly reviewed. The other thing to say is that today is, or was, Robert Wyatt's birthday, the drummer from Soft Machine. So, celebrating and mourning at the same time, Robert Wyatt is now 71, may he live long. What a living treasure. And I would hope that in some ways maybe this might prompt some public celebration of the front guard of rock, because that's really what's going on with rock music. The Sunfighter, Paul Kantner, and Grace Slick, they're leaving us. Great psychedelic inside gatefold. I believe it's the same people that did the Santana album cover. I have always related to and had related to my perception of hippie when it was happening. I would say, in retrospect, looking back, obviously a kid in the Midwest, I'm catching information, much through the mainstream media. So I'm not, and then also I'm catching it somewhat through people. So I wasn't there in San Francisco, but what the wave that I caught was important to me, and I took it seriously. The idea that people could come together, that the races could get along, the idea that people were waking up to the realization that love is a good thing. I got squandered and compromised, in many ways, but the Jefferson Airplane were one of those bands that represented the part of psychedelia and hippiedom, at least in part. They represented the values that I thought were good, were cool, because, it was a mixed bowl. But I, for one, wouldn't change a thing about how I've come up and how I've dissected the world through music and art, and just many of the what I consider the cornerstones of rock history, have played an important part. Jimi Hendrix, the Beatles, Pink Floyd, Jefferson Airplane, so Paul Kantner's passing, bears notice, For me personally, some of the more underground people, like Edgar Froese, Tangerine Dream, just as important, to me, a giant like the ones that are recognized by Western U.S. history in particular. I think that Tangerine Dream is regarded properly in their homeland and in Europe. I would think. But I wanted to just pay my respects and we have the music. So the legacy of music is huge. The legacy of music and art is huge. Without humans having discovered expression, I don't imagine what things would be like. So rest in peace, Paul Kantner. He was, he was significant to me. Jefferson Airplane, Jefferson Starship. I did not see Jefferson Airplane, but I did get to see Jefferson Starship. So I did get to see Paul Kantner live. And I remember the show somewhat, mainly because I did too many drugs and I did some that I wasn't used to doing, which I did some... It'll come to me. I did some angel dust for that show. Commander Cody opened. I was a mess. I fell on people a few times. I couldn't keep my balance and shit. Commander Cody was opening and I wasn't into it, and that was making my trip even worse. So by the time Jefferson Starship came on, and it was before they had big hits. This is when they were just starting out, kind of on the rise. Possibly it was the Red Octopus album, maybe? That was a big FM hit. So I got it together enough so that I could watch the band. Craig Chiquiko on guitar, I remember that. Pretty sure Marty Balin was with them as well. And so I needed to be present in mind that I'm seeing these people. It was important to me, even though, like I said, like a young idiot, I did, polysubstances and some stupid shit. I'm glad I survived it. Play some Jefferson Airplane. If you don't know the band, get to know Paul Kantner's work. He was one of those people, he was. He's important in rock history. Okay.